Rajdeep, economic distress, unemployment, job creation, inflation, have been steady, issues at rallies. They were heard during the Karnataka election. They were heard during the Telangana election, in the heartland as well. The Prime Minister in this answer says, put aside these allegations. Let's just talk about the facts. From a political perspective, how is that looking just weeks before this next election, acknowledging that economic distress is an issue?
Look, the fact is, I've heard two varying viewpoints on your panel between those who seem to see the glass as half full and those who see the glass as half empty. And both are true. Let's be very clear. It's not as if everything is milk and honey there in the economy. These have been very tough years. Post-demonetization, post-GST, post-COVID, India has shown resilience, no doubt about it. But there have been ups and downs and lots of people have hurt. And I think we have to acknowledge that. To simply all the time either talk up the economy or on the other hand, claim, economic distress is widespread. Both these arguments, I think, do not reflect the truth. The truth as always lies somewhere in between these two extremes. The opposition seems to believe nothing has happened in the last 10 years as far as the government is concerned, which is a complete falsehood. On the other hand, the government cheerleaders seem to believe that India has miraculously changed post-2014, which is also not true. I mean, let me give you basics. Issues like paper leaks. I mean, structure. The Prime Minister, while he is absolutely right in tapping into aspirational India, also needs to recognize the potential demographic disaster that lies out there. Government recruitment exams in state after state are not conducted on time. Lakhs of students are struggling, therefore, to even get jobs. And they want government jobs, not necessarily private sector jobs, because there are states where private sector is not pulling in its weight. Now, these are real issues on the ground. You see, I think there is a need for a reality check for both sides.
Okay.
The opposition needs a reality check to understand the impact, for example, that digitization has made, that GST has made on the ground. But the government also needs to recognize the fact that small and micro enterprises have hurt. They need to recognize that government exams are shoddily run with corruption running right through them. They've got to recognize that cronyism still exists right through our system. I mean, these are two sides. I wish between a Siddharth Zarabi and Sanjay Jha, we could find a middle ground, or between an Ashok and a Sanjay. And I think the failure at the moment in our political discourse is that we are not willing to acknowledge our faults. We're only willing, either side is working in extremes, and that reflects the polarities. I wish we could have a more realistic assessment of where we are today.
Okay.
We are trumping, if you listen to the Modi cheerleaders, they will only trumpet the positives. If you listen to the naysayers, they will only look at India heading towards disaster. The truth is it lies somewhere in between. And I wish there was a more realistic assessment rather than what we are seeing at the moment, which are two extreme perspectives, neither of which I think reflect the reality on the ground.
Siddharth, do you want to answer that or add to that? Glass half full, glass half empty is what Rajdeep says this is.
Well, that would be true for all economies, including China, which has enjoyed the fruits of a 30-year-old manufacturing boom. And if we take several examples, and no one's talked about it, I'll just leave you with one example. 10 years of UPA rule and the amount of back and forth that happened on petroleum subsidies. Please acknowledge, and since politics is dominating this discussion, although this has a solid economic core to it, would you not agree that this government has demonstrated political nerves of steel when it has come to oil price management, including buying from Russia or ensuring that post-COVID prices for the last so many months have been kept stable, and now with some sort of dividend, possibly a price cut is in the offing and a decision could be announced very soon. I think we need to keep this in mind, and being boxed into a position for and against, that's not my mandate. But it's very clear that as far as economic management is concerned, I once again reiterate what I'm reading from this interview and the previous interview that we got around the G20 at Business Today with the Prime Minister. It's clear that the Prime Minister is telling us that the next agenda of his will sorely focus around the youth. The term that he uses, Gyan, youth, and the Annadata and Nari Shakti. Those are the three pillars that he's going to focus on 2024 and beyond. And Shiv, you know that the recent speech where he completely focused on the youth.
Absolutely. Okay.
No, but you see, the Siddharth, the youth, I agree with you. I mean, the fact is the Prime Minister's success has been that he's been able to create this aspirational society that looks for a better future among the youth. But travel across the country and look at state after state, whereas I gave the example of paper leaks in government, including in the Prime Minister's home state of Gujarat, where there are lakhs of students who have not been therefore able to get the jobs that they were promised because government recruitment exams are
Rajdeep,
these are the you see, it's time, Siddharth, that we got out of studios and did some reality checks on the ground. That's my only point. Let's not believe that India is a land of milk and honey. Let's not also believe that India is all doom and gloom. The truth lies in between, my friend.
Should we move education out of the concurrent list into the central list and let central agencies run all of this to fix those loopholes?
No.
Siddharth,
That's not the
I want to
solution.
answer that.
There are basic structural problems that need to be addressed. I'm sure the Prime Minister is concerned about it. I believe he is. I believe that state governments need to be also held to account. And I think these are the issues on the ground, which sometimes our policy makers do not recognize when they talk the right talk.
Okay.
The platitudes, the talk, talking about youth, who's not going to, everybody knows India's biggest challenge as well as opportunities, the young of India. But are we doing enough for them? Is skill development done enough? These are questions that need to be asked, Siddharth. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.